Alright, everybody, this is That Exciting Dude. We are here for another podcast, and I've got some sad podcast news for you. You'll understand when we get there, but first, you know what time it is. That's right, this is That Exciting Dude, and first we're going to quickly do what I need to do, which is the podcast intro that I do finally have in front of me, which you have no idea what that means, and I'll tell you after I tell you the intro. So as I have always said, welcome to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. I'm your captain speaking, That Exciting Dude, or as some people call me, Ted. So you know the drill, hit the follow button, bell, whistle, deer, raccoon, whatever it is for you, to hear more of this awesome voice. I am currently on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Castbox, and Podchaser. Sorry, no Apple yet. I really don't know what's going on with them. I don't know the issues that they're going through or what's going on, but I don't think I'm on Apple yet. Lastly, I need to thank a couple places since I'm using their background noises now. That is the Brock Hewitt Stories and Sound called Ages Ago. Then Heartsman song called Paradise Island. Then Tropicana and his sound is called Sound Roll. And these are all from upbeat.com. UPPBEAT.com. Alright, so here's the sad news. So last week, did a podcast on the road. I was doing my little journey up north. I did the podcast as I was on the way from St. Ignace, Michigan, up to Tequamanon Falls. Really, I didn't reach Tequamanon Falls or the area. Really, I went up to Whitefish Point first, then I went back to Tequamanon. And basically, I was done before that. You know, got done with the podcast. It's a very sketchy area up there. Waited till the evening when I got back to the hotel, which would have been Wednesday night last week. And, I lost my train of thought there. Basically, through the app on the Android, I did the podcast. Called it my first episode of the Road Potty cast. And, or as I call it, the first roadie. Uploaded it, hit the submit. Boom. I thought I was golden. Went about my business, did my Thursday routine, which was, I went to Drummond Island, did a few things, and then started heading back home to Grand Rapids area. No problems. Boom. So yesterday, long story short, didn't get the podcast quite done. Some other things were in play. And so I did the podcast again, another roadie on the way to work this morning. So I get done doing the podcast, get to work. I have a couple minutes to spare. So I'm like, okay, we'll get this uploaded so it can be actually, here by Thursday morning. Because as you know, the typical routine is I get these done for either Wednesday or Thursday. I try to shoot for Wednesday. Sometimes the brain doesn't work. So then it's Thursday. So long story short, I have to look at, what episode am I on? So I go in the program because I use Spreaker, the website, for my podcasting. I go in, I look at what's next. I'm seeing episode 1, 2, 3, and I'm seeing nothing about I'm like, the last one was September 27th. I'm like, that's 2 weeks ago. I'm like, where's last week's? So I go to Spotify, nothing. I download iHeartRadio, look, nothing. Still, boom. Or to 2 weeks ago, and I just came to a conclusion. For whatever reason, I didn't upload last week's podcast. Which I was like, well, great. I'm not going to put this one on this morning because I referenced a lot of things from last week. Which wouldn't make sense since you didn't hear what came out on October 5th, I believe. Yeah, it would have been October 5th as I'm looking at the calendar. So here I am in this little conundrum. That's why I say it's a little saddened that things didn't work out via the Android app for whatever reason. I don't know if I was too fast and had to keep it open when it uploaded, even though I remember seeing it hitting 100 in the hotel. I really don't know what happened. Or did it have to do with maybe there's issues with the software when you do the upload for a later date? Because a lot of times I do these at night, but I have that you can upload it where you can save it to upload later. So like I'm doing it right now, Thursday night at 7:26. I probably won't release it. I'll upload it, but the published time and date will be tomorrow, Friday the 13th at 8 a.m. Which they always work on the PC, no problems, sweet. So here I am. So that's why there was nothing last week. It wasn't that there wasn't anything last week, it was just, for whatever reason, didn't work. So, I'm just going to do a little rollback of last week. It's pretty much last week. Cliff Notes version is, again, left St. Ignace. Had a nice, very colorful ride up to Whitefish Point. Did a couple pictures. It was very cold, considering it's right off of Lake Superior. The wind was up there in speed. So, yeah, got a few pictures, then boom, started on my journey. I was a little bloated for whatever reason, so I went to the nearest store, which was at a turn that I had to take to get to Tequamanon Falls. So, quickly went to the store, spent an arm and a leg on some Tums. Actually, to be honest with you, that's a lie. For being in the upper peninsula of Michigan, or as Michiganders say, the UP, it wasn't that much. It was maybe like 50 cents more than your normal price in a store. Long story short, got to Tequamanon Falls, went to Lower Falls, did my pictures. Those are kind of the less exciting falls. I mean, they're still awesome to see, If you make it to the upper part of Michigan and you're up in the UP, seeing the Tequamanon Falls, see upper and lower. You need to. You still need to see both. So long story short, I started at lower, did a little walking around. There was two good viewpoints to look to the two falls that they have. And then I moved on to the upper falls, which you have to leave that parking area. You drive down probably 2 miles and you park in another area, and then you walk on some paths to get to the upper falls, which the viewing areas for the upper falls, staying up high on the main path, it's very tight windows, and there was a lot of people there, and I'm setting up with a tripod, and I just was like, this ain't working, so I gotta go down 181 stairs, which was definitely a good workout with camera gear, coming back up, not. And so I went down, did a bunch of photos. Like, everyone was using this other spotting point. Like there was like a couple deck points off to the left near the river as we were hugging a bank on this particular path. There was 2 spots, and no one was really in this first spot. So I'd set up there, and I did a lot of photos from that point, because most everyone is bypassing that one even before I was shooting, there was just a lot of people bypassing that one, and going to the next stage, which was only like 40 feet down. It was like a couple stairs up, and then down, and then boom, that platform was there for the viewing from that angle. So, I left the Crown Falls. I looked on the map. I was like, oh, hey, look, there's this lighthouse nearby. It didn't look that far. I was like, oh, maybe this is only like an hour max, maybe, to get to it. I was like, oh, I could fit this in. So I was making really good timing at this point of what I had a rough estimate for when I planned this little mini vacation before I got to work this week. So I started on this dirt road towards Crisp Point Lighthouse in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I'm just going, weaving, two-tracking. You can only go about 30, maybe 40 max in a few areas, and that's all I could do. So I finally get to the lighthouse, and it was seriously like an hour and a half later, or a strong good hour, and I was just like, holy moly, that took forever. So I get out, took some photos. Again, it was a quick spot that I had to do photos because the flies were like roaches with fangs attached to them. They were just bloodsuckers. First I was like, alright, I'm the only idiot with shorts, but then I saw other people with shorts, and the flies were just eating me alive. And they were vicious. They were just latching on like leeches. And it was just crazy. I pulled my socks up. I went into gangster sag mode just to minimize the skin area. And they were just biting through the socks, biting through my shorts, and then obviously still with the 5 inches of skin that you could see because I was wearing shorts. There was some guy wearing jeans and he was still having issues. So, I quickly moved. I just kept moving, quickly did my photos, did what I wanted to do there, visited the gift shop, signed the guest book, and then got in the car, trapped 3 flies that bothered the crap out of me, and left. So by this point, by the time I made it back out to the main road, let me back up further. There was a point in this path that I could have made it going to Grand Marais, Michigan, and somehow I missed it. I don't know. There was a lot of T's or X's, and I'd be like, okay, and then of course, the service really was not there at all. So I'm trying to use this road map that doesn't have all these T's and X's, so I'm just like, I think I still gotta go this way, and then it might be the next one, and then there's like not another one for a long time, and long story short, I didn't make the Grand Marais, but it worked out in my favor anyway of not going, because it started to rain when I got back to the main road. So I just had to go a little bit down to, I forgot the town, but basically I had to go south to basically get back to St. Ignace. And so I ended up just going back, and I still made it back to St. Ignace by like 6:37 p.m. at night, just in time to grab some dinner. And then that's when I supposedly loaded on the podcast. So that's what happened last week. So let me tell you about what happened since then. So I kind of ended saying, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to Drummond Island. Again, I'm referencing last week, not the actual tomorrow. So I went to Drummond, saw this bench that was dedicated to my father that has passed away. Ate at the restaurant that this bench is at. Quickly visited property that we used to have on Drummond Island. I didn't drive down the driveway of it, but I passed by, had a peek. Um, and then, made it back to the ferry, because you take a car ferry across from Detour. And, then I wanted to get on my way back home. And I was already behind schedule because instead of waking up at 6:30, I decided to wake up at like 7:30. And, because for whatever reason. So I did that. Then I made the journey back. And, I stopped at the river, did a little fishing on the way back at this particular fishing spot. It was like, I just did like 20, 30 minutes, and I was just like, all right, let's try and get back before the sun closes out here. So, boom, got back. And then, so this week, I started at work again. As you know, I had the surgery. I was off on FMLA. Decided to go back to work early. I'm so glad that I did. It was a good thing. Lots of changes were made, so I was able to catch up on some of the latest things that have happened at work. So yeah, started work early. Forgot where I was. I totally I had to pause it quickly. Here's the facilities. So yeah, I got back to work early. I think that's where I was, and so this week, we're catching up and got a lot of good things going on. And yeah. So I haven't done my trickle of sports that I like to do. Obviously, what I did last week is irrelevant. So we're just going to roll with what happened this past week of the few things that I can recall without looking them up, because you know that I love to try to use the memory, use the noggin. Yeah. So last week, let's see, we got to start with my Notre Dame. They did not do well against Louisville. I forget the final score. I had to try to remember, I want to say like 42, 44 to like 24, maybe 28, something like that. Then the next day, there was some exciting National Football League games. It started with the London game at 9:30, which was the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they played against the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, Buffalo Bills, and they won. I really did not think that they were going to win, to be perfectly honest with you. But they beat the Bills in London. That was, I believe, 25 to 21 or 25 to 19. Something like that. They beat them fairly close. Then another very good game was my Detroit Lions won again. And so they are 4-1. They beat the Carolina Panthers. And again, I think that score was kind of similar to the Notre Dame and Louisville one. It was like 40-something to 20-something. And then I think another very exciting game. Well, actually, no. Another one that was kind of funny, to me at least, is the New England Patriots lost to the Texans. That was 34-0. Which I figured Mac Jones with Bill Belichick as the coach would put up something. But, it's the NFL. You never know what's going to happen. And then the final game that I'm really recalling is Monday night, which was the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Green Bay Packers. And that was another very surprising game because the Packers lost. I really thought that Jordan Love was going to do better. He's the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers versus Jimmy Garoppolo, but they both really sucked, to be perfectly clear and honest. They were both trying to throw deep, and they were not delivering deep at all. Let's see. So this week, well, I guess up until now, another good is the NHL has started, which normally the NBA starts at the same time. My Red Wings are currently playing right now. They start their match with Game 1 against the New Jersey Devils. So we will see how that game ends up. But then tonight is the Thursday night game, which is the Bears versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And like all Thursday games, it's on the Amazon Prime. So that's where we're at. Last night I didn't do the podcast because I was actually talking with a very old friend, old colleague from my Navy days. And we got done talking, which was well past my bedtime. It was we video chatted for over 4 hours. We got done and I was like, well, we definitely talked for some minutes here. But no, it was a very good chat. You know, we had a very good time. Talked about a few reminiscing moments. And, just, it was a very good time chatting with this individual. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I could tell that she thoroughly enjoyed it too. And we were just both like hanging, like one eyelid open. Like, yep, gotcha. Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, we're both like fading off into the distance, and it was kind of funny near the end. I probably didn't make it sound how it really was, but you just gotta imagine, you know, we were both getting very tired. Alright, so we are at the 23-minute mark, pretty much. And I think I'm just going to keep this short and sweet for this round. I think but I'm going to end it with a few jokes. Alright, I'm going to end it with a few one-liner jokes. So, here's the first one. What do you call a fake noodle? I'm going to pause like I can hear you. Tick, tock. An impasta. That one's pretty funny. That one's pretty good. I do like that one. Alright, what's another good one here? Alright, here's another one for you. Did you hear about the couple who stole a calendar? Tick tock, tick tock. They each got 6 months. Corny, but very good. Corny, but very good. Alright, we're going to do one more because I know that you're asking for it before we end this endeavor. So why is it annoying to eat next to basketball players? Tick tock, tick tock. Because they dribble all the time. Okay. Not a super chuckle one, but it was still a good one. Alright, so we are going to end the background music because, like I said, this is That Exciting Dude. This is Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. And we are going to call it for the night. So have a good weekend. I'll tell you how the weekend goes. Actually, I didn't tell you what I have coming up. Well, guess what? Instead of telling you what's coming up, I'll just tell you in the next podcast. Alright, so folks, so you know the drill. I'll catch you later. And this is That Exciting Dude. Peace, and don't eat the rum salad.